the changes brought about by Finance Act 2020 relating to deduction of tax at source. This session maybe will be covered in 2 parts or 3 parts. So today we will cover all provisions relating to deduction of tax at source which are considered to be important. First, a small change is in relation to deduction of tax at source by individuals and HUF. Next sections may, like 194 capital A, 194C, 194H, 194J, 194IC. In which cases may, individuals and HUFs are required to do or deduct tax at source. Condition laid down is that in the preceding financial year, their books should have been subjected to audit under 44 AB. So a change has been brought about by Finance Act 2020 stating that 44 AB reference is removed and what they have put in is a monetary figure. If the individual or HUF is carrying on business, then turnover of the preceding financial year should have exceeded 1 crore. If the individual is carrying on profession, then the turnover should have or gross receipt should have exceeded 50 lakhs. So in other words, the amendment is that instead of making a reference to 44 AB for individual and HUF to do a tax or to do a TDS, specific monetary figures have been put, 1 crore for business and 50 lakhs for profession. For example, if we take the financial year 2021, that is the current year, अगर इंडिविजुअल और HUF को इस पर्टिकुलर ईयर में TDS करना है या नहीं करना है, ये अगर चेक करना है, तो फाइनेंशियल ईयर 1920 में उनका बिजनेस से कितना टर्नओवर हुआ है या प्रोफेशन से क्या ग्रॉस रिसीट्स हुआ है, दैट नीड्स टू बी चेक. सो 1920 में अगर बिजनेस है, टर्नओवर एक्सीडिंग 1 करोड़, प्रोफेशन है तो ग्रॉस रिसीट्स एक्सीडिंग 50 lakhs. If that be the case, an individual and HUF in the current financial year, that is 2021, they have to carry out TDS under the provisions of 194A, 194C, 194H, 194I, 194G. Subject to certain more relaxations in few sections, agar it is exclusively for personal purposes, then they may not do TDS. There is no change in that. Next, we proceed with 192(1) capital C. Section 192 bracket 1 capital C. This is a new subsection which has been inserted by Finance Act 2020. Now, what is the background to this? अगर हम section 17 subsection 2 clause 6 देखते हैं of Income Tax Act, which talks about salary and perquisites in hands of a employee. 17.2 perquisites. Clause 6 talks about employees stock option plan. अगर employee को कोई stock option plan ESOP एक employer allot करता है, so the difference between the fair market value and the allotment price, this difference was regarded as perquisite in the year in which the employee exercised his option during the vesting period. This gave rise to a big difficulty and a cash crunch in hands of the employee. क्योंकि सिर्फ equity मिला है, ESOP मिला है, and it has not been monetized by the employee, so he has to pay tax, resulting in reduction of his net cash available in hands for disposal. यानी कि कंपनी ने एम्प्लॉय को ESOP दे दिया, सिर्फ इक्विटी शेयर्स दे दिए, और उस इक्विटी शेयर्स के ऊपर डिफरेंस बिटवीन फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू प्राइस वाज टैक्स्ड एज परक्विजिट. यानी कि पैसा तो कुछ मिला नहीं, बट टैक्स आउटफ्लो के कारण जो नेट अवेलेबल डिस्पोजेबल सैलरी थी एम्प्लॉय के हाथ में, दैट गॉट रिड्यूस्ड. This gave rise to problems in industry, and more so in case of startups. Accordingly, Finance Act 2020 now proposes that in case where a ESOP has been given, the taxation thereof will be deferred. In other words, the employee has to pay tax on that either by way of TDS or by way of self-assessment or by way of advance tax, not in the year in which the employee exercises the option. But the law says that within 14 days from any of the following 3 events, whichever occur earliest. So the law is citing 3 events. इन 3 events में जो भी event सबसे पहले होगा, उस event से 14 दिन के अंदर ESOP allotment के ऊपर employee should pay the tax. That should either be by way of TDS, that is employer doing TDS, or where there is no liability for TDS, then they by way of self-assessment or advance tax. Now, what are the 3 events which have been prescribed? 1, 48 months, that is 4 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. Relevant assessment year here means the year in which the employee exercised the option for ESOP. For example, if the ESOP was allotted in the year 2021, यानी कि 1st April 20 से लेके 31st March 21 के बीच में if the ESOP was allotted, then 2021 becomes the relevant year, और इसके बाद within 4 years, that is 48 months from the end of this year. So 2021 यानी कि March 21 के बाद 4 साल, that is 48 months from the end of the relevant assessment year, or the date on which the employee sold the ESOP, यानी कि जैसे ही वो बेचेगा उसको कैश का पैसा मिल जाएगा. तो जिस दिन ESOP बेचा वहां से, या फिर थर्ड, अगर employee ceases to become the employee of the person who gave the ESOP. यानी कि ये 3 इवेंट हैं. पहला इवेंट जिस साल ESOP मिला उस साल से 4 साल, या फिर सेल ऑफ ESOP, या फिर the employee is no longer the employee of the person who allotted the ESOP. इन तीनों इवेंट में से जो पहले अकर होगा, उस इवेंट से within 14 days the employee should go ahead and get the tax deposited either by way of TDS or by way of self-assessment. Now there are 2 things to observe. This relaxation is not in respect of all the employees. In other words, जो employees are part of an eligible startup, those employees which are an employee of an eligible startup as defined in section 80 IAC, उन employees को ये benefit है. In other words, we will now have 2 schemes for taxation of ESOP. एक, in case of employees of an eligible startup, or in case of employees other than eligible startup. In case of employees other than eligible startup, the traditional mechanism will continue to apply the year in which the ESOP is exercised. In case of eligible startup, there is a deferment. Tax is to be paid within 14 days from any one of the 3 events, whichever occurs earlier. Now going ahead, there is one more thing to observe here. If the ESOP was exercised in the financial year 2021, that is the current year, and tax is to be paid, say for example, in the year 23-24. 23-24 में tax payment करना है. Either the ESOP is sold that year or the employee ceases to be an employee, whatever it is. So 23-24 year में the tax is to be paid. The tax rate that will be applied in calculating the tax to be paid will be of the year 2021. That is the year in which the ESOP was exercised originally. In other words, this scheme does not defer the taxation. The taxation occurs in the year in which the ESOP option is exercised, but only the payment has been deferred. The TDS thereon has been deferred. So it is only the deferment of payment of tax. The valuation of this ESOP continues to be in accordance with Rule 3 Subrule 8 and Rule 3 Subrule 9 of the Perquisite Valuation Rules. We now proceed with the next one, dividends. Dividends have been made taxable whereby 115(o), which prescribed taxation of dividend at the hands of the distributor in form of corporate dividend tax, earlier introduced by Finance Act 1997, now stands withdrawn. In other words, from the current year, that is 1st April 2020, whatever dividend is declared, distributed, or any payment is made, on that there will be no dividend distribution tax. In other words, no DDT or CDT, whatever you may call. Same position will apply in respect of dividend given by mutual funds. Same position will apply in respects of dividend paid outside India. In other words, when the company now pays any dividend, it will not deposit or pay dividend distribution tax. The dividend received by the shareholder or the unit holder in case of a mutual fund will now be taxable in hands of the recipient, that is the shareholder or the unit holder. This enables the operation of earlier Supreme Court decision in case of Rajendra Prasad Modi, wherein court permitted that as dividends are becoming taxable, any amount borrowed for making an investment, that amount can be claimed, the interest component can be claimed as deduction from the dividend earned. There is a threshold prescribed, which is not the subject of TDS for claiming the deduction. We are not discussing that here. Now, when dividends are distributed by the company and it is received by a shareholder, let us first talk about dividends received by resident shareholders or dividend paid to resident shareholders. When the company now pays any dividend, any of the cases which is covered by section 2 subsection 22, 5 cases where dividends are covered, in any of these 5 cases, if there is a distribution, payment or declaration of dividend, the company is under an obligation under section 194 to do TDS. The company is under an obligation under section 194 to do TDS. This provision is applicable with effect from 1st April 2020, that is assessment year 21-22. Now the rate of TDS prescribed is 10%. I repeat, the rate of TDS prescribed is 10%. Now whether this 10% will be subjected to any surcharge, cess, that we will discuss later on cumulatively. What is the position of surcharge and cess on TDS? So TDS rate on dividends is 10%. Now the condition comes in that TDS will not be required where the monetary threshold of dividend does not exceed rupees 5,000. So there is a monetary threshold prescribed of rupees 5,000 and that rate will continue to apply. That means if I pay dividend of rupees 6,000, then entire 6,000 dividend would be subjected to TDS of 10%. Another condition attached is that the payment should not have been made in cash. It could have been in any other mode other than cash. So if the 2 conditions are operative, then 10% rate applies. What are the 2 conditions? 1, the payment of dividend should not be in cash. 2, the payment should exceed rupees 5,000. So in other words, if payment does not exceed rupees 5,000 and it is paid through a banking channel, no TDS. 2, if the payment does not exceed 5,000, but it is paid in cash, then again 10% TDS would apply. So if 1,000 rupees of dividend is paid, but not through banking channels, then TDS has to be done even on 1,000 rupees. Similar provision has been made in respect of dividend paid, distributed by mutual fund to its unit holder. Same rate of 10% and again, same 5,000 monetary limit and same condition, should not be paid in cash. So section 194 is applying for dividends paid by company to the shareholder. 194K is applying dividend paid by mutual fund to the unit holders. 2 separate sections for doing TDS. But both the cases, the payments are being made to a resident. Going back to section 206AA, which prescribes that the person receiving an income should give his PAN number to the person distributing or giving the income. If the PAN number is not given by the shareholder to the company, then the TDS will happen at a higher rate of 20%. Now moving ahead with dividend further, if dividend is paid by an Indian company to a non-resident shareholder, dividend is paid by an Indian company to a non-resident shareholder, then the section applicable will not be 194 but 195. 195 would be the section which will prescribe the TDS for payments to non-resident on dividends. Again, all dividends covered by section 222. What is important to observe is that when dividend is being paid to a non-resident, the TDS rate for dividend is 20% and not 10%. Section 195 does not prescribe any TDS rate, but the rate comes in from the first schedule, part 2 to the Finance Act. Entry number 1B1, 1B2 and 2B, whether dividend is paid to an individual, a non-resident individual, NRI, whether it is paid to a corporate, whether it is paid to a non-corporate, in all cases, the TDS rate prescribed is 20%. Similarly, in case of 196, section 196A talks about dividend being given by a mutual fund to a non-resident unit holder. Everything remaining the same, 20% TDS if the payment is made through banking channels. No monetary threshold prescribed. So for non-residents, it is 195 threshold. For non-resident unit holders, it is 196A, no monetary threshold. In both cases, TDS rate is 20%, payment being made other than through cash. Now, what is important to observe in both the cases, if there is a treaty in place, the treaty provisions, if they are more favorable, they would apply if the rate is less than 20%. Moving ahead, 196C. This talks about income from various bonds. Non-residents holding bonds of Indian companies could be a FCCB, foreign currency convertible bonds, FCEB, foreign currency exchangeable bonds, or they are holding GDRs. 196C has been amended because on GDRs, the Indian company would be paying dividend. Those GDRs, when dividend is paid, the TDS rate is 10%. Dividend on GDRs being paid to a non-resident, the TDS rate being 10%, 196C. 196D, dividend being paid to foreign institutional investors, FIIs. If dividend is paid by an Indian company to foreign institutional investors, TDS rate is 10%. So that is about dividend being paid to residents and dividend being paid to non-residents. Where there are non-resident shareholders, these rates need to be kept in mind. Moving ahead with other sections, 194 capital A. It talks about interest other than interest on securities. That means interest on deposits and interest on borrowing, instead interest on loans, etc. There are two changes over here. One, as regards individual and HUF, which I explained in the first step. Individual HUF, instead of reference to 44AB, monetary threshold उन्होंने prescribe कर दिया है कि preceding financial year में अगर turnover 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा है business का और profession है तो 50 लाख से अगर ज्यादा है तो individual HUF को 2021 में 194A में TDS करना चाहिए. दूसरा चेंज उन्होंने किया है for payment of interest by a cooperative society. इसके पहले क्या होता था कि कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी अगर कुछ इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट करता था टू इट्स मेंबर्स, टू प्राइमरी एग्री क्रेडिट सोसाइटी, प्राइमरी क्रेडिट सोसाइटी, कोऑपरेटिव लैंड मॉर्गेज बैंक, कोऑपरेटिव लैंड डेवलपमेंट बैंक, अनदर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी, इन कुछ केसेस में विच वर कवर्ड बाय सेक्शन 194 कैपिटल ए सबसेक्शन 3 क्लॉज 5 एंड क्लॉज 7A, इन केसेस में कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी को टीडीएस नहीं करना पड़ता था. To expand the TDS provisions, this amendment has been made with effect from 1st April 2020, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी अब अगर इनको पेमेंट करता है, किसको कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी अपने मेंबर को पेमेंट करता है, could be individual, HUF, non-individual, non-HUF, corporate. Second, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी अगर प्राइमरी एग्री कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी को पेमेंट करता है, प्राइमरी क्रेडिट सोसाइटी को पेमेंट करता है, कोऑपरेटिव लैंड डेवलपमेंट बैंक को पेमेंट करता है, एक्सेट्रा, इन दोस केसेस उनको टीडीएस करना पड़ेगा. दे हैव टू डू डिडक्शन ऑफ टैक्स एट सोर्स. कंडीशन क्या है? देयर आर 2 कंडीशंस अटैच्ड, बोथ आर क्यूमुलेटिव. वन, the turnover of the cooperative society in the preceding financial year, so 2021 के लिए 1920, preceding financial year the turnover exceeded 50 crores and interest which is being paid, if it is paid to a senior citizen, then the interest amount should exceed 50,000. If it is paid to other than senior citizen, the interest amount should exceed 40,000. ये दोनों conditions भी meet होनी होगी in order to ensure that tax is required to be deducted at source by the cooperative society. That is the change in 194A. Moving ahead to 194C. Again, there are 2 changes in 194C. One change relating to individual and HUF, reference to 44AB removed, 1 crore and 50 lakhs threshold limit directly prescribed for turnover in the preceding financial year, business 1 crore, profession 50 lakhs. The second important change is in the definition of work. 194C requires that tax is to be deducted at source when payment is being made to a contractor for the work done by the contractor. In this case, the definition of work provided that अगर मैं किसी के लिए कुछ काम कर रहा हूं, तो वो काम के ऊपर जब पेमेंट करेगा मेरा contractee, so if the contractor is doing any work for contractee, labor work, contractee making payment to the contractor, contractee is under an obligation to do TDS, 2%, 1% rate as applicable in various type of work. अब इसमें एक सवाल उठा, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं अगर एक प्रिंटिंग प्रेस हूं, आपने मेरे को ऑर्डर दिया, आई एम योर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, यू आर माय कॉन्ट्रैक्टी, आपने मेरे को ऑर्डर दिया कि मैं आपके लिए लेटर हेड्स प्रिंट करके दूं. तो मैंने बाजार से कुछ कागज खरीदा, उसके ऊपर प्रिंटिंग की और आपको मैंने लेटर हेड्स दे दिए. Here there is a mixed transaction of labor and goods. Goods is a transaction where there is a supply occurring, and this is not a case of service or labor exclusively. So therefore, work definition was amended to provide that earlier, that जहां पर there is a work contract, material labor दोनों जाता है, वहां effectively TDS नहीं होना चाहिए, it is a sale of goods. So अब अगर मैं बाहर से मटेरियल खरीदता हूं, मैं उसके ऊपर कुछ काम करके आपको वो दे देता हूं, that is not subjected to TDS as defined in the definition for work. The definition says that if I have done any work on a material given, by the contractee, material आपने मेरे को खरीद के दे दिया, then I am only doing labor and giving that letterhead back to you. That work will attract TDS. If material I have purchased, I have done the work, and I have given you the printed material, which is the works contract, that will not attract TDS under 194C. Now this has been expanded a bit. Finance Act 2020 has carried out a change, and the change is, मानिए my contractee मेरे को order दिया Mr. A ने. Mr. A has given me an order to carry out a work. It could be any work, stitching of bags, it could be printing of letterheads, it could be construction, it could be software, whatever work. If you have given me some work, which is a non-technical work, that falls under 194C category. एक और work की category है 194J, that we'll discuss later on. So you have given me non-technical work, or material has been given by you. I will do the work and give the material back to you. There will be TDS when you release payment for me. If I go ahead and purchase material from outside and do that work and give it to you, then there was no TDS. अब इसमें क्या हुआ? To avoid the TDS provisions, people started misusing this section. Mr. A ने मेरे को contract दिया to do work, और Mr. B who is an associate of Mr. A, related party of Mr. A. Mr. A ने कहा कि मटेरियल मैं तुमको नहीं देता हूं, तुम मेरे रिलेटेड पार्टी बी से ले लो. सो बी से मैंने मटेरियल लिया, उसके ऊपर मैंने वर्क किया और वो मटेरियल मैंने मिस्टर ए को दे दिया. इन दिस केस, by this transaction, it was established that जो मेरा कॉन्ट्रैक्टी है मिस्टर ए, उन्होंने मेरे को मटेरियल नहीं दिया था. कॉन्सिक्वेंटली जब मिस्टर ए मेरे को पेमेंट करेंगे, उसके ऊपर टीडीएस नहीं काटेंगे. This was a planned exercise to avoid TDS. What amendment has been done in 194C is, now the definition of work says, material, जो contracting Mr. A है, material मैं उनसे नहीं खरीदता हूं. Even if material is given to me by his related party, whether material is given to me by my contractee Mr. A or any related party associated enterprise of Mr. A B. In both the cases, when I will do the work and give that material back to A, TDS provisions would be attracted. This is going to be really important because this will also open up a lot of litigation areas, but one has to be alert from whom the material has come in. If the material has come in from a related party of Mr. A, then even though material was not supplied by Mr. A, work being done by me and material being given back to Mr. A, TDS would be required to be done. Now, who would be regarded as a related party? Who would be treated as a related party? The definition of work is saying that a person who is a related party of Mr. A in accordance with section 40 capital A subsection 2 clause B, that is business profession calculate करते time 48(2) clause B के तहत जो interested persons defined हैं, all of them will be regarded as interested contractee, material taken from an interested person, work done, contractee releasing payment would now be subject to TDS. Moving ahead, next two sections, very similar, so simple change, 194H, commission or brokerage. The only change is in context of individual or HUF, which talks about 1 crore threshold and 50 lakhs threshold. 194I, rental payments on plant machinery, land building. Again, similar change only in relation to individual HUF. Reference to 44AB removed. 1 crore and 50 lakhs monetary threshold directly prescribed for individual HUF to do TDS. We now move to an important discussion, 194J, fees for professional or technical services. Amendment has been made with effect from 1st April 2020. Now what they have done, 194J used to prescribe a standard TDS rate of 10% for payments which are in respect of professional services, technical services, royalty, non-compete fees, direct, etc. In all these cases, the TDS rate was 10% and monetary threshold prescribed was 30,000 for payments being made to residents. All we are discussing is payments being made to residents. Now over here, two changes have been done. One, for technical services, that is fees for technical services, the TDS rate has been brought down from 10% to 2%. Earlier, professional and technical services both were subjected to TDS at 10% rate. An amendment has been carried out saying professional services will continue to attract TDS of 10%, technical services will attract TDS of 2%. That is the first change. Now, it is very essential for one to understand the definition of professional services and also to understand the definition of technical services. I'm reading very slowly the definition as provided in 194J. What is professional services? Professional services means services rendered by a person in course of, I repeat, professional services means services rendered by a person in course of carrying on legal, medical, engineering, or architectural profession, or the profession of accounting. Yahan tak what they have covered is legal, medical, engineering, architectural profession, or profession of accounting. Goes ahead to say, or technical consultancy, or interior decoration, advertising, or any other notified profession. यानी कि प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज के डेफिनेशन में टेक्निकल कंसल्टेंसी डाला हुआ है और प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज के ऊपर टीडीएस रेट है 10%, टेक्निकल सर्विसेज के ऊपर टीडीएस रेट इज 2%. Technical services they have defined separately by saying that technical services will have the same meaning as given in section 9(1) clause 7 explanation. टेक्निकल सर्विसेज का क्या मीनिंग, क्या डेफिनेशन दे रहे हैं? फीस फॉर टेक्निकल सर्विसेज मींस कंसिडरेशन फॉर रेंडरिंग एनी मैनेजरियल, टेक्निकल और कंसल्टेंसी सर्विसेज ब्ला 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 ब्ला. सो टेक्निकल सर्विसेज का डेफिनेशन इज मैनेजरियल, टेक्निकल, कंसल्टेंसी. प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज के डेफिनेशन में टेक्निकल कंसल्टेंसी आता है. सो देयर इज एन ओवरलैप. This will open up lot of room to analyze, discuss, understand कि पेमेंट क्या चीज के लिए हो रहा है. If technical services, then 2%, professional services, then 10%. There is a possibility to take a view. Now these are all rooms for litigation. कि अगर टेक्निकल कंसल्टेंसी है, भले ही वो प्रोफेशनल के डेफिनेशन में गिर रहा है, प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज, क्या मैं उसके ऊपर 2% काटूं या 10% काटूं? दिस इज एन एरिया विच नीड्स टू बी डिस्कस्ड, एक्सप्लोर्ड, अंडरस्टूड ऑन अग्रीमेंट्स, फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस, कि क्या ये टेक्निकल कंसल्टेंसी है, फॉलिंग विद इन द डेफिनेशन ऑफ प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज. इन स्पाइट ऑफ दिस, should I do TDS 10% or 2%? I don't discuss this over here because it is dependent on facts and circumstances of each case, which will require in-depth exploration. Next amendment which has been carried out is in respect of royalty. If you are making payment of royalty, which is in respect of cinematograph films, sale, distribution or exhibition rights अगर आप दे देते हैं, selling rights, distribution rights और exhibition rights, उसके लिए प्रोड्यूसर अगर रॉयल्टी लेता है, so the payer will do TDS at 2%. For all other royalties, TDS rate continues to be 10%. The next change is in relation to individual and HUF, 1 crore and 50 lakhs monetary threshold. Next is business trust. Payments being made by business trust, since it is a very specific item and applicable only to business trust, I'm not discussing this over here. We will skip this, and if required, discuss this specifically if there is a query involved. Next, we move to 194 LD. This amendment is made with effect from 1st April 2020. क्या किया गया है इसमें? अगर कोई इंडिविजुअल किसी FII को पेमेंट करता है इंटरेस्ट का, या QFI को पेमेंट करता है, क्वालिफाइड फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर, these are two categories. अगर कोई FII को पेमेंट करता है या QFI को पेमेंट करता है फॉर बोरोइंग्स इन रेस्पेक्ट ऑफ अ रूपी डिनोमिनेटेड बॉन्ड और गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी, यानी कि इंडियन कॉर्पोरेट ने बॉन्ड इश्यू किया जिसको हम मसाला बॉन्ड्स भी बोलते हैं आउटसाइड इंडिया, अल्टरनेटिवली कॉल्ड एज रूपी डिनोमिनेटेड बॉन्ड. अगर किसी कॉर्पोरेट ने ये किया है और वो इंटरेस्ट पे कर रहा है किसी FII, फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स, और QFI, क्वालिफाइड फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर, both have been defined under the SEBI regulations, then TDS rate prescribed is 5%. This was there in respect of borrowings or masala bonds or government securities issued up to June 2020. For all those bonds and government securities which were issued up to June 2020. This period has been extended till 1st July or 30th June 23. The period has been extended till 30th June 23, यानी कि 30th June 23 तक अगर कोई मसाला बॉन्ड्स इश्यू करता है या गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज इश्यू होती है, उसके ऊपर जो इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट होगा, that will a beneficial TDS rate of 5%, unless the treaty prescribes a more beneficial rate. Another amendment has been made for the same rate of TDS under 194 LD, that is 5%, in respect of municipal debt securities. अगर कोई फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर या फिर कोई क्वालिफाइड इन्वेस्टर अगर म्युनिसिपल सिक्योरिटीज में इन्वेस्ट करता है अप टू 30th June 23, उसके ऊपर जो इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट होगा, that will also be at the rate of 5%. We now move to 194N. This amendment is operative not from 1st April 2020, but it is operative from 1st July 2020. 194N amendment is operative not from 1st April 2020, but 1st July 2020. What is the amendment? First, this provision is applicable in respect of banks, cooperative banks, and post offices who act as bankers. The 194N provision is applicable in respect of banks, post offices, and cooperative banks who are providing banking services. The amendment has been made to cover up or stop the cash withdrawals from the bank or to minimize that, which is acting as a deterrent. कोई भी आदमी, any person, individual, partnership firm, cooperative society, कोई भी अगर cash withdraw करता है, if they withdraw cash exceeding 1 crore in the previous year, यानी कि 2020 फाइनेंशियल प्रीवियस ईयर फाइनेंशियल ईयर में अगर 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा का कैश विड्रॉवल करता है तो बैंक को 2% टीडीएस काटना पड़ेगा. मॉनेटरी थ्रेशोल्ड 1 करोड़, बैंक विल डू द टीडीएस एंड बैंक विल इशू अ टीडीएस सर्टिफिकेट. अब इसमें कैचेस क्या क्या है? अब मानिए मिस्टर ए हैज गॉट 3 bank accounts with ICICI. Mr. A has got 3 bank accounts with ICICI, whether savings, current account, X account, Y account, 3 अलग अलग अकाउंट है, सेम ब्रांच में है, अलग अलग ब्रांच में है. 1 करोड़ की थ्रेशोल्ड will be seen by adding cash withdrawals from all the 3 accounts. 1 crore limit will be seen by taking the aggregation of all the 3 accounts, whether with 1 branch or multiple branches. 1 crore limit to be checked. Another catch. मानिए Mr. A has a bank account with ICICI at Howrah branch. Howrah is a place in Kolkata. Howrah branch. और वो कैश विड्रॉ करता है बैंगलोर में, कैश विड्रॉ करता है दिल्ली में, कैश विड्रॉ करता है अहमदाबाद में. तो कहीं से भी विड्रॉ करे, किसी भी ब्रांच से करे, अकाउंट वाइज 1 करोड़ देखना है. ऑल ब्रांचेस विड्रॉवल्स टू बी एग्रीगेटेड. थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड, मानिए मिस्टर ए ने कैश विड्रॉवल किया है सिर्फ 90 लाख, नो टीडीएस. मिस्टर ए कैश विड्रॉवल करते हैं 1 करोड़ 10 लाख, तो टीडीएस विल नॉट बी ओनली ऑन 10 lakhs but will be on entire 1 crore 10 lakhs. अब मानिए 1 करोड़ ऑलरेडी विड्रॉ कर लिया, लास्ट ट्रंच में 10 lakhs विड्रॉ कर रहा है. So 1 crore 10 lakhs के ऊपर 2% TDS, all will be deducted from the last withdrawal of 10 lakhs. There's a further deterrent in case of a non-compliant person. अगर कोई आदमी ने अपने प्रीसीडिंग 3 प्रीवियस ईयर्स की रिटर्न नहीं लगाई है, आरओआई नहीं लगाई है 3 साल, अगर 3 साल उसने कॉन्स्टेंटली कॉन्जिक्यूटिवली रिटर्न नहीं लगाई है और उन 3 साल की रिटर्न लगाने की ड्यू डेट एक्सपायर हो गई है ऑन द डेट यू आर एक्सीडिंग द थ्रेशोल्ड ऑफ 1 करोड़ कैश विड्रॉवल. आई रिपीट, अगर किसी भी पर्सन ने, एनी क्लास, इंडिविजुअल, एचयूएफ, एओपी, वीआई कंपनी, किसी ने भी प्रीसीडिंग 3 फाइनेंशियल ईयर और 3 प्रीवियस ईयर्स की रिटर्न नहीं लगाई है, रिटर्न हैज नॉट बीन पुट, और उन तीनों साल की रिटर्न लगाने की ड्यू डेट एक्सपायर हो गई है जिस दिन आप कैश विड्रॉवल की मॉनेटरी थ्रेशोल्ड को क्रॉस कर रहे हैं, उस केस में मॉनेटरी थ्रेशोल्ड will not be 1 crore but will become 20 lakhs. यानी कि नॉन कंप्लायंट पर्सन के लिए मॉनेटरी थ्रेशोल्ड 1 करोड़ की जगह 20 लाख हो जाएगी, यानी कि 20 लाख तक कोई टीडीएस नहीं, 20 लाख के ऊपर गए तो टीडीएस होगा, और टीडीएस रेट विल बी 2% up to cash withdrawal of 1 crore and exceeding 1 crore it will be 5%. यानी कि अगर किसी आदमी ने पिछली 3 प्रीवियस ईयर्स की रिटर्न नहीं लगाई है, 3 प्रीसीडिंग ईयर्स की, 2 ईयर का डिफॉल्ट है नो प्रॉब्लम, 3 साल का अगर डिफॉल्ट है और तीनों साल की डेट एक्सपायर हो चुकी है, रिटर्न फाइलिंग की ड्यू डेट, वो 25 लाख का कैश विड्रॉल करता है, तो पूरे 25 लाख के ऊपर 2% टीडीएस, 1 करोड़ 10 लाख का विड्रॉल करता है, तो पहला 20 लाख तक 2% और 20 लाख के ऊपर यानी कि 90 लाख के ऊपर 5%, और विड्रॉवल्स अप टू 20 lakhs to 1 crore, आई एम सॉरी, अगर वो 1 करोड़ 10 लाख विड्रॉल करता है तो 1 करोड़ तक के ऊपर 2%, 1 करोड़ के ऊपर यानी कि 10 लाख के ऊपर 5% टीडीएस। सो दो डेटरेंट हैं नॉन कंप्लायंट पर्सन है, एक थ्रेशोल्ड ब्रॉट डाउन टू 20 lakhs, 20 lakhs के ऊपर जाते ही टीडीएस होगा, 20 लाख से लेके 1 करोड़ तक कैश विड्रॉल करोगे 2%, 1 करोड़ के ऊपर कैश विड्रॉल करोगे ऑन द अमाउंट एक्सीडिंग 1 करोड़, 1 करोड़ 10 लाख के केस में 10 लाख के ऊपर 5%. TDS obligation will be when the bank is releasing the cash. Next is section 194O. This section is operative with effect from 1st October 2020. 194O, a new provision, operative with effect from 1st October 2020. ये कैसे अप्लाई करेगा, ये सेक्शन क्या है? This section is applying to electronic commerce business. It was observed that बहुत लोग are now selling goods and providing services through electronic means. और गवर्नमेंट इसको ट्रैक नहीं कर पा रहा था, so there was a tax evasion. ये लोग अपनी इनकम पूरी डिक्लेयर नहीं करते थे and therefore there was a tax evasion. अब इसके ऊपर पूरा इनकम इनको डिक्लेयर करने के लिए, फोर्स करने के लिए टीडीएस प्रोविजन ला दिया गया है. अगर कोई ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर है, दैट हैज आल्सो बीन डिफाइंड हु इज एन ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर. अगर कोई ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर है, लेट्स टेक Amazon, who owns, manages or facilitates e-commerce transaction platform, who owns, manages or operates that electronic platform. Every person will be called as an electronic commerce operator, जो own करता है, manage करता है, operate करता है electronic platform. Let's take Amazon. मैंने कुछ गुड्स Amazon के थ्रू बेचा, अब जब मैं Amazon के थ्रू बेचूंगा, मानिए 10 लाख रुपए का गुड्स है या 10 लाख रुपए की सर्विसेज है जो मैंने Amazon के थ्रू सप्लाई की. Could be any type of services. You have online services like Urban Clap, etc. So अगर 10 लाख की मैंने सप्लाई की है, अब जब Amazon मेरे को पेमेंट रिलीज करेगा, क्रॉस अमाउंट 10 लाख के ऊपर Amazon has to do TDS 1%, और वो सरकार को जमा करेगा, 1% काट के बैलेंस पेमेंट Amazon मेरे को करेगा. वेरी सिंपल वनीला केस. अब अगर मैंने कुछ गुड्स Amazon के प्लेटफॉर्म के थ्रू बेचा है, प्रोडक्ट लिस्टिंग की है, सर्विस लिस्टिंग की है, Amazon ने बायर को दिया, बायर ने Amazon को पेमेंट किया, नो टीडीएस, Amazon मेरे को पेमेंट करेगा 10 लाख का, उसके ऊपर टीडीएस काटेगा 1% और नेट अमाउंट मेरे को पे करेगा. अब व्हाट आर द कैचेस इन दिस? मैंने प्रोडक्ट लिस्टिंग की या सेल किया थ्रू अमेजॉन, और अमेजॉन को पेमेंट डायरेक्टली, अमेजॉन को पेमेंट करने की जगह बायर ने डायरेक्टली मेरे को पेमेंट कर दिया बिकॉज द टर्म्स ऑफ अ ट्रांजैक्शंस वर सच। अमेजॉन के बायर ने डायरेक्ट पेमेंट कर दिया मेरे को, क्या इसके ऊपर भी ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर अमेजॉन का टीडीएस ऑब्लिगेशन आएगा? आंसर इज यस। इस 10 लाख को भी अमेजॉन को कंसिडर करना पड़ेगा व्हाइल रिलीजिंग ऑल अदर पेमेंट्स टू मी। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एक सिचुएशन जहां पर मैंने अमेजॉन के थ्रू पेमेंट किया 10 लाख का, बायर ने अमेजॉन को पेमेंट किया, अमेजॉन मेरे को 10 लाख दे रहा है, अमेजॉन के पेचे लाख के ऊपर 1 goods have not been defined, services have been defined to include technical and professional services. So यहाँ पर goods हो या service कोई ज्यादा फाइट नहीं है क्योंकि दोनों ही केस में 1% TDS है. However, there are a lot of debates which needs to have understood where software is being sold through the platform. Items like software. अगर online delivery होती है, it's a service. अगर CD में उसको burn करके दिया जाता है, then it is a good. So a lot of court decisions are there under indirect tax laws to draw distinction between goods and services. This needs to be understood whether it's a good or a service. Second essential thing is that there are a lot of cases जहां पर मैंने Amazon के थ्रू पेमेंट किया है और Amazon मेरे को 10 लाख पे करना चाहिए. इस 10 लाख में से Amazon अपनी फी काटता है. मानिए 1 लाख रुपया वो कमीशन काटता है, 50,000 अपनी होस्टिंग सर्विसेज काटता है, तो 8.5 लाख रुपया ही वो मेरे को देगा. बट उसको टीडीएस 10 लाख पे करना होगा और 10 लाख माइनस 50,000 उसकी होस्टिंग फी माइनस 1 लाख उसका कमीशन माइनस 1% टीडीएस, नेट अमाउंट वो मेरे को रिलीज करेगा. सेम प्रिंसिपल विल अप्लाई गुड even if the payments have been received directly from the buyer, directly by the buyer. तो 5 लाख रुपया अगर मेरे को बायर डायरेक्टली देता है तो अमेजॉन क्या करेगा? 10 लाख प्लस 5 लाख लेस उसकी होस्टिंग फी, लेस उसका एडवर्टीजमेंट, लेस टीडीएस ऑन 15 lakhs, and net amount will be released. Next debate that will come in is, should TDS be done on the GST component, whether goods or service? Should GST be done on, should TDS be done on the GST component? Answer is no. Board has given a clarification. There is a circular in place. The circular says that there is no need to do TDS in respect of GST. Circular issued sometime in 2017. I think circular number 4. The next thing which needs to be explored is many cases में जहां पर मैं GST component अपने invoice में अलग से नहीं दिखाता हूं. I give the amount inclusive of GST. तो पूरे amount पे TDS उनको काटना पड़ेगा, even the GST component. So 10 लाख रुपए का पूरा invoice बना दिया, GST component नहीं बताया, पूरे 10 लाख पे TDS कटेंगे. Other side, अगर होस्टिंग सर्विसेज और कमीशन जो अमेजॉन ने काटा है, 50,000 होस्टिंग सर्विसेज, एडवर्टीजमेंट सर्विसेज और 1 लाख कमीशन. मैं अगर अमेजॉन के थ्रू अपना प्रोडक्ट्स बेच रहा हूं, अमेजॉन ने 50,000 और 1 लाख रुपया का जो अमाउंट काटा है, उसके ऊपर मेरा टीडीएस ऑब्लिगेशन कंटिन्यूज टू सर्वाइव अंडर 194J and 194H. कमीशन एंड एडवर्टीजमेंट 194C, 194J, whatever is applicable. तो उसके ऊपर सेलर का ऑब्लिगेशन अलग से दूसरे सेक्शन में रहेगा जहां पर उसको टीडीएस जमा करना चाहिए. जिन अमाउंट्स के ऊपर टीडीएस इन सेक्शन पे हो चुका है, वो दूसरे सेक्शन में टीडीएस नहीं होगा. एक रिलीफ दिया गया है कि अगर सेलर इज इंडिविजुअल और एचयूएफ और उसकी टोटल सेल्स सालाना 5 लाख से ज्यादा नहीं है और वो अपना पैन फर्निश कर देता है, ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर को रिलीज कर देना चाहिए पेमेंट विदाउट एनी टीडीएस ऑब्लिगेशन. So from the perspective of the seller, you have to ensure that जो amount Amazon ने कमीशन होस्टिंग एडवर्टीजमेंट सर्विसेज के लिए काट लिया है, उसके ऊपर द सेलर यानी कि मेरे को टीडीएस अंडर 194J CH continues to exist. Next, we come into e-commerce operator itself. E-commerce operator चाहे रेसिडेंट हो चाहे नॉन रेसिडेंट हो, दोनों ही केस में 194O में उसका ऑब्लिगेशन होता है. इसके कारण सेक्शन 204 में consequential amendment has been made. Person liable to do TDS where the e-commerce operator is a non-resident, his agent in India is responsible for doing so. Similar change has been made under 206AA जहां पर पैन फर्निश नहीं किया जाता है तो threshold is 20%, TDS रेट बढ़ जाती है. In case of 194A जहां 1% prescribed है और मैं एज अ ई-कॉमर्स सेलर या पार्टिसिपेंट अगर पैन नंबर नहीं देता हूं 20% की जगह the limit is brought down to 5%. Another small change which is important and should be observed is 26AS. Form 26AS. This has been discontinued with effect from 1st June 2020. यानी कि 203AA section has been deleted. यानी कि Form 26AS will no longer be available. Alternatively, they have introduced section 285BB, operative 1st June 2020. What is 285BB? It is annual information statement, AIS. Income tax authorities now have access to customs ka data, have access to GST data, have access to stamp duty data, which is being filed electronically by way of annual financial statement. 285BA. अभी 285BB में जो इश्यू करेंगे वो एनुअल इंफॉर्मेशन स्टेटमेंट जाएगा AIS, which will be uploaded by the income tax authority on your incometaxindia.filing.gov.in. जैसे 26AS मिलता था अब आपको AIS मिलेगा, एनुअल इंफॉर्मेशन स्टेटमेंट. इस स्टेटमेंट में income tax authorities will not only put the TDS, TCS, advanced tax, self-assessment tax, but other data also which they have gathered and accumulated from GST portal. कितना GST आपने दिया है, क्या टर्नओवर GST पोर्टल पे बताया है, कितना कस्टम्स के तहत इंपोर्ट किया था, कितनी कस्टम्स ड्यूटी दी है, कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी रजिस्टर्ड की है, उसके ऊपर कितना स्टैम्प ड्यूटी पे किया है. All that information which income tax authorities will gather will now be uploaded in the AIS and that will be available on the portal. As a result, income tax authorities will now be able to identify, gauge, and correlate, cross-connect your transactions which you have carried out and reported under the other statutes. A small change has been done in 197. 194A has been mentioned in 197. As a result, a lower TDS certificate may be obtained from officer by an e-commerce operator. क्या TDS के ऊपर सेस एप्लीकेबल होगा? अगर पेमेंट्स रेसिडेंट्स को हो रहे हैं, there is no surcharge or cess applicable on the TDS rate. But if the payments are being made to an, there is a surcharge and cess applicable. There are different slabs prescribed. अगर इंडिविजुअल HUF, AOP, BOI, artificial juridical person को पेमेंट हो रहा है and the payment is between 50 lakhs to 1 crore, surcharge is 10%, health and education cess 4%. Payment 1 crore to 2 crore, surcharge 15%, health and education cess plus 4%. Payment between 2 crores to 5 crores, surcharge 25%, health and education cess plus 4%. Payment exceeding 5 crores, 37% surcharge on the TDS rate plus 4% health and education cess. Payment agar cooperative society ko ho raha hai exceeding 1 crore, then surcharge 12%, health cess, education cess plus 4%. Payment is to a foreign company between 1 crore up to 10 crores, surcharge 2%, health cess 4%. Exceeding 10 crores, surcharge 5% plus cess 4%. It would not be out of place to mention कि जब हम नॉन रेसिडेंट्स को पेमेंट कर रहे हैं So surcharge and cess will be applicable over and above the TDS rate. But if the rate applied is as per DTAA, यानी कि treaty rate apply कर रहे हैं, तो treaty rate is all inclusive rate. Treaty rate अगर लग रही है या treaty apply हो रहा है, तो उसके ऊपर surcharge cess नहीं आएगा. Surcharge cess तभी आएगा when the income tax rate is being applied as per the Income Tax Act. If the treaty is applied, then surcharge cess is not applicable. Those are all the changes relating to TDS for the amendments done by Finance Act 2020. We will stop here. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Thank you.